This is the Home Improvement Resource Program Workshop. There are a number of other people that are going to be speaking tonight, and I'll introduce you to them in a minute. But before I get into the workshop, what I'd like to do is make sure right from the beginning that everybody is in the right place. You ever been into a workshop or go somewhere to listen to somebody talk, and then you halfway through and you realize that this ain't where I'm supposed to be? So we want to make sure you're not in the wrong place, all right? So the question becomes, why are you here? And then I can check if you're in the right place. So everybody don't speak at once, only one person at a time. Why are you here? Home improvement, all right? Home improvement? Everybody here for something to do with home improvement. Did anybody hear that we giving away something free here? Say the food, okay, good. All right, because that's what happens. Sometimes we get here and people say, we heard y'all was giving away some free monies to get your free roof, and you shake your head, you ain't heard that, right? And so they sit here all this time and say, wait a minute, you ain't giving away nothing free. So that's right, we're not giving away nothing free. This is not what that workshop is. This is not the weatherization workshop for the city. This is something different. We'll talk about what it is, but I want to make sure everybody understands what we're not, so that you're not sitting here for the whole workshop to find that out, all right? So, but kind of what we are, the Community Action Organization, let me kind of paint a picture about how we kind of got to doing the Home Improvement Resource Program Workshop. Anybody remember this building that we're in right now? Anybody remember what this looked like, say, 5 years ago? It was nothing here? Yeah, it was boarded up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in here since they remodeled for several months.
Right, but before, if you go back 10 years ago, this was a what? It was an abandoned building. That's what it was. This whole property was an abandoned building, you know what I'm saying? So what is it now? Yes, anybody know, Ms. Robin, how many? I think it's 64 units of housing. So we went from an abandoned building. This used to be, I used to actually go here. It used to be a school, Diocesan Educational Campus. This used to be the chapel, you know what I'm saying, that we're here right now. But we went from an abandoned piece of property to a fully developed neighborhood now. Now you got a place where you got 64 units of housing, 3, 4, and 5 bedroom houses. You got apartments in both of the building. It's part of the whole St. Martin's Village neighborhood. And so we at a very different place than it was 10 years ago, okay? Now, the reason why we're doing the Home Improvement Resource Program is because something is happening in Buffalo. But before I kind of talk to you about what's happening in Buffalo, I kind of want to ask you the same question that I just answered as part of CAO. So I want you to think about your neighborhood, all right? What's today's date? 15th. October 15th, 2014, all right? So I want everybody to kind of go back for a minute. Think about October 15th, 2004. Everybody here was alive, right? Okay, so since everybody was alive on October 15, 2004, I want you to think about just where you was at, just what was going on in your life 10 years ago, right? But then I want you to think about your house, your neighborhood, okay? 10 years ago, your house or neighborhood, was it better, the same, or worse? Okay, so your house or neighborhood, okay? Specifically, I want to know about your neighborhood. I'm more interested in your neighborhood. The neighborhood you in 10 years ago from today, was it better, the same, or worse? All right? Okay, so we're going to go around. We're going to start over here. All right? 10 years ago, well, I'm going to come this way since they sit down. 10 years ago, was it better, same, or the worse?
Better.
It was better than it is now, so it's got worse over the last 10 years.
It's pretty standard, but it's being challenged right now.
So it's about the same.
About the same.
But it's challenged which direction?
Medical corridor.
Okay, so it's challenged to do what? Get better or worse?
It depends.
Okay, well, I want to know.
But I want to say hopefully better.
Hopefully better. So it's challenged to go better. 10 years ago, better, same, or worse? About the same. 10 years ago, fair the same. It's about the same. It's worse, okay? The neighborhood you live in now, 10 years ago, it's better than it is now, worse, or the same? It's about the same. Hi.
Sorry.
The neighborhood you live in, it's the same. It's the same. Okay, so from the time you moved in until now, is it better, the same, or worse? About the same.
It's a little bit in the middle, depending on
How
how you look at it.
do you look at it?
If I was at a different location over there, their standard was okay. And when I'm over here, as a community, is better.
Mm-hmm.
The housing situation probably not.
So the community is better, but the housing quality is lower. Okay. About the same? Worse. Okay. It's better how you see it. You see, everybody got their own eyes, right? You see? All right, better, the same, or worse? The same. Same. Worse? Worse. Okay. So now we got context, okay? So we would say that the building that we were in 10 years ago was worse, right? We would agree to that. It was abandoned. It was, no attention was being given to it. And so 10 years ago was worse. So 10 years later, it's better, right? Now, what we're here to talk about today is 10 years from now, okay? That's what we're here to talk about today. 10 years from today. So the question becomes, how, even before we ask this question, and I want everybody, we're going to go around and do this one more time. I want you to just be really honest about this. Based on what you see going on right now, what you actually see happening in your neighborhood, your community right now, is your neighborhood in the city of Buffalo going to be 10 years from today, 2024? Is it going to be better, the same, or worse? In your neighborhood right now, based on what you see going on, your neighborhood, better, the same, or worse, 10 years from now? It's going to be worse. Okay, why is it going to be worse? So it's going to be worse because there's no investment and you see crime being driven to where you live at. Okay, better, the same, or worse? Worse because? So you saying there's an investment being made in one part of the city, but the part of the city you live in, the crime is going to go there because the investment is going somewhere else. All right, 10 years from now, better, the same, or worse? Probably worse. Why? You don't know, but based on what you're seeing right now, because of the crime and the stuff going on, you see it being worse. 10 years from now, better, same, or worse? You think it's going to be worse? Why do you think it's going to be worse? Okay, so the crime is being driven to the neighborhoods where you live in, so you think it's going to be worse? I'm with them. You with them? Going to be worse, same reason. Crime is going to be driven to the neighborhoods? Okay, so now we kind of got context, everybody. Now, who actually know the correct answer? Buffalo as a city. Better, the same, or worse 10 years from now? Worse. Better. Hopefully better? Better for the tourists. You got a shout over here. He said, come visit, but don't live here. Okay. All right, so here's the reason why we have a home improvement resource program, right? Because the truth of the matter is, can we know what a community is going to look like 10 years from now?
I think so. We could anticipate.
Anticipate? Can we know? You can anticipate, you can participate. What's the way we know what it's going to look like 10 years from now?
Well, what we do personally with it.
I want us to think about this, especially if we homeowners, okay? Who ultimately is going to decide what the communities that we live in look like 10 years from now? I mean, at the end of the day, the power for what the community is going to look like 10 years from now, if the homeowners ain't deciding what it's going to look like, who's deciding it? So you saying politicians decide it?
Politicians are going to decide if the people don't speak up.
But think about this. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. That's really what we're here to talk about tonight. We're here to talk about, do we have the power to make the community be what we want it to look like 10 years from now? I mean, seriously, because if we as the homeowners say that the community is going to be worse 10 years from now, do we have any chance of being better? If the homeowners say it's going to be worse, it's over before we start. What do the homeowner got to have in order for our communities to look better, be safer? What do the homeowner got to have? Got to have a vested interest in the neighborhood. What else they got to have? Pride in their property. Say again? Good upkeep. But you know the biggest thing the homeowner got to have? They got to have a vision of what they want it to look like 10 years from now. How do you get to what you, do you think that without a vision for what we wanted to look like, this building we in to look like, that we could have got to look like this? No, somebody sat down and said, okay, this is an abandoned piece of property. It's just sitting here. Somebody sat down and said, what do we want it to look like? And they got together with other people and they put together a vision and a plan for what we wanted to look like. And guess what? 3 years after that date, we were standing in a whole new place. The question becomes, if homeowners don't have a vision for what their neighborhood is going to look like, what their community is going to look like, is there any chance that it's going to get better? And here's another truth. Things almost never, ever stay the same. They're either getting better or they're getting worse. You can try to maintain it, but if you just maintain it, what's really happening? Yeah, it's just deteriorating still. You know what I'm saying? So here's the reality. I want everybody to remember what your original position was. Let's talk about what's going on around us right now. Okay? So if you live in Buffalo, right now in Buffalo, what's going on down on the medical campus? Jobs, construction. That's right, because they building new houses over there for the medical campus. And not even just on the medical campus, say that part, but you're saying the people who live there are getting booted out. So what?
You gotta find a new house.
So in order, why are they being booted out? So they can build the medical campus. So,
Some people that had their properties for many years and worked hard for their property, and they gotta leave because of some condition of some hospital.
now you're hitting the nail on the head. As a matter of fact, you said the whole point of being here tonight. But you said it already. You said that people who've been living there all this time, new people are coming into the community, they have a vision, and their vision is causing the people that's already there to have to do what? Leave. Why do they have to leave? And so what's the community's response? If y'all ain't been paying attention, Buffalo is not changing. Buffalo has already changed. If you want to get a glimpse of the future of Buffalo, go stand on the corner of Sycamore and Jefferson. What do you see if you stand on the corner of Sycamore and Jefferson? If you look to the right, if you stand on Sycamore and Jefferson and you point it south, and you look to the left, how much do the houses cost? On the left, to your left, going towards the east, that you can get a house $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, right? But if you look to the right, say it again. $300,000 house. The houses in Sycamore Village cost how much? $250,000, $300,000. How do you have on one corner? Say that again? Yeah, it don't fit if you're looking backwards. But if you're looking forward, what do you see? See, the future is coming, y'all. It's here already. Buffalo is changing all around. Matter of fact, they just projected along the rapid transit, that they're going to build 14,000 new units of housing up Main Street along where the rapid transit is at. Why do you think they're building 14,000 units of new housing? Because Buffalo is going to get worse in the next 10 years? What do you think what do you see going on down south in the canal side? The inner harbor, the outer harbor, River Bend. What do you see going on? Building. You think people are investing money in building because Buffalo is going to be worse 10 years from now? There you go. But the point is, what is happening in Buffalo? It's going up. Yeah, so you saying it's going up because it's going up for people that's coming into Buffalo. But the people that's in Buffalo, they can't afford to benefit from it.
Do you think it's going to go that far east to the Kensington Bailey area?
Matter of fact, let's talk about the Kensington Bailey area. Matter of fact, right now, matter of fact, anybody know Central Park? What's the value of the houses in Central Park? 10,000. 5 years from now, what do you think the value of the houses in Central Park going to be? I'm going to pass you this out and look. I'm going to just look out. This is, matter of fact, 5 years from now, Central Park ain't even going to be named Central Park. What's the new name?
I don't know, but it ain't gonna be that.
It ain't going to be Central Park. It's going to be called Highland Park. Highland Park. As a matter of fact, when you look at the picture of Central Park 10 years from now, I mean, this ain't even 5 years from now. You got to get this picture, y'all. I mean, this is how beautiful it is. Go to Chalmers Street. Y'all know where Elam Church is at, right? Right down that street, they're going to have a median that goes right down the middle of that street. It's going to be tree-lined on both sides. New housing developments on both sides. When you get to the end, they're going to have that big roundabout that you go around on the roundabout. The picture is already sitting there, right in front of you. When is that going to happen? And I'm coming to you 1 second. In July 2016, that's going to be in place. But I'm going to talk about what you're talking about 1 second, right? That's supposed to be operational July 2016. So people that's in Central Park now who think it's getting worse, they ain't paying attention to what's going on around them, is they? As a matter of fact, I want you to go a little bit further. You see in Kim Bailey, right? Think about already what's going on. What has already happened over there behind All High Stadium? Yeah, they done built a whole new stadium. They done knocked down, put a whole new parking lot over there. You know what's going on over there behind McCarthy Park? All them new houses, how much them houses cost? Yeah, that's all them new houses. And behind there, what do they got? You got the beautiful stadium, then you got a big park that got 3 soccer fields, a baseball field, a football field. Matter of fact, you come on this side of the town, over here by the City Honor School, in front of City Honor School, you got a brand new what getting built? You got a brand new soccer field getting ready to get done. Over there in Johnny B. Wiley Stadium, brand new basketball court, football, baseball, all that is going on. Why do you think all that building is going on, everybody? Do you think Buffalo, you think people are investing money because 10 years from now, Buffalo is going to be worse? That's not what's going on, everybody. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this one more piece and then I'm going to come to your point, all right? Who here knows what Say Yes to Education is? Say yes to education. What is Say Yes to Education? Yeah.
So a lot of people are coming in to get their kids to go to school, college for free and not to pay out of pocket for it.
So in case everybody don't know what it is, let's make sure we're clear about what Say Yes to Education is. Say Yes to Education is a scholarship that's for the next 20 years, from 2013 to 2033, what happens? If you graduate from a Buffalo public or charter high school for the next 20 years, you get to go to college and you don't got to pay tuition. What's the income guidelines? Ain't no income guidelines. All you got to do is graduate, and what colleges are there? Harvard, Yale, Duke, Notre Dame. The stipulation is this. If you live in the city of Buffalo and your child graduates from a Buffalo public or charter high school, they get to go to college and they ain't got to pay tuition. They got to get accepted into college. You know what I'm saying? So if they get accepted into the college, they get to go and they ain't got to pay. Now, here's the point. When you graduate from college, what do you graduate with besides a diploma? Say it again. You graduate with debt. So what happens if you live in Buffalo versus if you live in Amherst or Clarence or Cheektowaga or Tonawanda? You graduate with what if you live in Buffalo? Debt-free, whereas if you live in those suburban communities, who do you graduate with? Debt. So back to the point that you said earlier. If now there's an opportunity to sell your property in the suburbs and to move into the city, what do you think you're thinking about if your child get to graduate and go to college and you don't get that debt? People ain't going to be moving. People are moving. I sit on with the Board of Education, I sit on an interview committee where we interviewing people for different positions. We were interviewing people for assistant principal positions. A principal at a suburban school was interviewing for an assistant principal at a Buffalo public school. That's what I said. It's a whole pay cut and you're going backwards in your career. And so you know what I did? When it was done, I said, why would you do that? So this is what he said. It was a he. He said, but this is what he said. He said, my family got property over in the Grand Hurdle area and they got a business, and I have 4 young children. He said, the money I will save by moving back into the city, moving back into that property, selling the property I am in now, the little bit of money I'm going to lose making that, I'll get back times 100. And so you know what he did? He got the job as an assistant principal. He's a principal now, you know what I'm saying? And he moved back. You think he's the only one? You said what?
My best friend lives in Cheektowaga trying to get back into the city of Buffalo.
You see the point I'm getting to. But what are the people in the city of Buffalo talking about? We talking right now, the people who have survived the hard times. Be here while it's all hard, suffered all of the low economic situation that we've been in, the violence, all that. They survived it, and just when they can benefit, what they trying to do? Why would you leave now? And that's the reason why we're here. We're here because we're saying we don't want people to miss out on the opportunity because they see the past. Because it's changed already. Matter of fact, look on this document here. How many jobs they counting? You see around here, they count the number of jobs in the area. Say that again. You're talking about somewhere about 60,000 jobs being created around here. You think 10 years from now, you're going to think Buffalo going to look like it look now?
You don't think people look for a better quality of life? I would like to be able to take my mom or my wife and walk to the corner store without being mugged or accosted by somebody.
So let's take that as a practical example. Is that true in Central Park today?
That I would be afraid that
Right. But do you think that's going to be true when Highland Park get there?
but I got to wait 10 years.
No. Highland Park is projected to be done in July 2016. You understand where I'm coming from? So what do you think is going to happen once people start to invest in that neighborhood? What happens to your neighbor who now has rented his house? You know what I'm saying? He's rented his house and he has a tenant and the house is falling apart and they start doing this kind of investment. Who all of a sudden shows up? The landlord? Why do the landlord show up? Or because you own the house and other people start to move in that neighborhood and they make an investment in that neighborhood, if they see somebody not keeping up their property, what happens? Call an inspector, inspectors showing up, tickets is gonna start getting written. Do you think Central Park is going to look like it looked today when this started going on. No. All the neighborhoods y'all talking about, go over into the Broadway, the Bailey Kensington neighborhood that's about to become the promised neighborhood. Watch as the promised neighborhood starts to roll out. Watch the kind of investment that gets made. You're going to see a whole, what I'm telling everybody is if you can see, it is already changing. But what happens is if you can't see, you see what it was and you think it's going to be that way, and when they come make you an offer, because they're going to offer you their used car out in the suburbs. Anybody remember what Amherst looked like 70 years ago? 80 years ago, what was Amherst? Say that again. It was swamp land. What does Amherst look like now? Yeah, it was swamp land you can buy for free. They put that university out there, and what happened? Everything changed. Now where the university coming to? The university coming to downtown, ain't it? And guess what they're going to sell you? The used house that they leaving, they're going to sell you that and come buy your house because your house is worth what? They're going to buy your house, sell you the safety and security. What's the safest city in the country? Amherst. They're going to sell you. But you understand the point? They're going to sell you that. But if you don't see that this is the time to invest in Buffalo, this is the time to be here. But here's the trick, and this is what I'm going to start to wrap up here, all right? Here's the challenge. How can you invest if you ain't got the money to invest? That's the point you're making. They run in people, and that's how we got involved in the Home Improvement Resource Program. Because we understood that when we start putting up new houses, and we putting up new houses over here on Humboldt, when we start putting up new houses, you ain't gonna be able to have these houses that are falling apart sitting next to these brand new houses. So we gotta go to the people that's living in these houses and give them a way to invest in their property when they got very little money. So here's what we found out in our effort to figure that out. If I said Buffalo's housing stock, where does it rank in the country? Buffalo has the newest housing stock, it has some housing stock somewhere in the middle, or it has older housing stock. What would you say Buffalo rank? Old? So in terms of old, how old? You think it's 70, 80 years? Anybody else? Everybody, I'm glad y'all said it that way. You saved me time. Buffalo has the oldest housing stock in the whole United States of America. Most people in here live in a house that was built 100 years ago. You said yours built how long ago? 150 years ago. That's most people's house, 100 years old. 100 years ago, how much was people paying for gas? Pennies. 100 years ago, was people trying to have energy efficiency? No, nobody would think about no energy efficiency. What's the average gas bill in Buffalo? She said 600, you said 400? You said it's what? 200? 400? But if you round it out, we're talking about in Buffalo, we're talking about gas bills $300 and $400, right? Do you think that's normal? No. As a matter of fact, Jim, in an energy efficient house, how much would we be paying for an average gas bill?
Maybe $100, $125 a month.
You said you wish. Okay, now, but here's the point, everybody. Think about this. Think about if you're paying more than $100, $125 a month for your gas bill, right? The $400, $500, $600 you're paying for your gas bill, what are you actually paying for? You actually paying for heated air to go where? I mean, my grandma used to say, you heating up Buffalo. I mean, think about this. Could there be any more clear waste of money than pay to heat up air that's going to go outside? That's the biggest waste of money you possibly can have. That money can't circulate back to you no kind of way. So one of the things we figured out that the only way that people was going to have the money to afford not being ran out when all the new money come into town is they can't waste money. You have to bring down the cost of operating your house. And if you live in the oldest housing stock in the country, we have to come up with a way to do that. If you put a thermal and pressure boundary in your house and you're able to circulate that energy, you can save almost half of that. How much money could you save if they project how much they can save if they put a energy efficient in their house?
Light bulbs alone, you can swap out a couple of light bulbs, take 100 watts out, put in 22 watts, and right there, it's going to save 75% just on that.
So he jumped ahead. He jumped ahead on that one. Let's just talk about that for a second. If you go to Family Dollar and you buy the light bulbs, you know the regular light bulbs, right? How much they cost? You get four for $1, right? Why are they giving you 4 light bulbs for $1? Because here's the point, though. You think you're saving money when you put that light bulb up there. But when you go pay your electric bill, you paying what percentage?
77%.
Think about that. Your electric bill is going up almost 3 times just because you got an old light bulb, you got an old energy efficient, non-energy efficient refrigerator, a non-energy efficient freezer, and you paying all that in gas. So this is where we found out you can save people enough money, because if you're saving $200, $300 a month, do that put you in a different position in terms of being able to invest in your property? And so this is something we can do. And here's the beauty about how we can do it. Anybody here got an electric bill? Pull out your electric bill. There's something on your electric bill called the SBC charge. You seen it? What is it for? How much is your SBC charge? $2.40. Anybody else? How much is yours? The SBC charge. What is the SBC charge? What is it? He says a lot of them charge this. Yeah, that's another one. We ain't gonna talk about that one tonight, but it's important to know. What is the SBC charge? Who knows what it is? It's a systems benefit charge. And you've been paying it every month for how long?
I guess every month since I've been doing the electric.
There you go. And guess what? That money goes somewhere. And you have access to the money. Yes, you have access to the money.
Pay $10.77.
Yeah, you pay $10.77. Okay. So here's the point. I'm going to wrap this part up here. Here's the point, everybody. The programs that we're going to talk about tonight, this ain't nobody giving you nothing. This ain't no handout. This is a program that you already paid for. It's money taken out of your check every month to pay for this program that we're talking about. And if you don't use the money, what do you think happened to the money? Say that again. So they don't care if you don't use the money. Because guess what? Who uses the money? The people who know about the programs, guess what they do? They use the money. We got 2 programs that we're going to explain to you tonight so you can get some of your systems benefit charge back, right? And we got it, and it's going to be explained real well, all right? But here's the most important point, and I'm going to end it with this point, all right? There is an opportunity for those of us who have property in the city, who want to stay in the city, who want to be here to benefit from as the city goes through this renaissance. But we got to work together. We got to have information. We got to share information. So when you finish hearing the way that you can bring down the cost for operating your house tonight, what's really important is that you tell your neighbors. You know what I'm saying? Because you can do it, but if you got other people around you doing it, it's going to make it better. It's going to make it, we can do a lot more as a group than we can do as individuals, okay? So, but you also got to have a vision of it being better. The people that's building up Buffalo right now, they knew 10 years ago that it was going to be better today. And guess what else they know? They got a plan for what it's going to be 10 years from now. And if you ain't got no plan, guess what they get to do in your neighborhood? Whatever they want to. They only got to even sit down and talk with you as if you a group and you got a plan. If you ain't no group and you ain't got no plan, you ain't got nothing coming. So we saying we want to put together a group of homeowners who have a vision for making our community better and have a plan. First thing we want to do is save money. We can't waste money. Then we want to put together what we want our community to look like. Then we want to come up with a plan on how to get there. And that's what the Home Improvement Resource Program, it starts today, but we're going to stay together after the day and try to come up with ways to take advantage of these programs. So I'm going to bring up before you, part of the way we've done this is we've partnered with people who have been working with us for over a year now, so that we know that when they come in your house, they're going to give you quality work. They're going to do, you know, the things that we talk about in the context of the program. That you can go with other people, but what we want to do is make sure that whatever we do as a group, we stay together, you know what I'm saying? And we work with people where we know their work is going to be done. And if the work ain't done right, we can do what? We know who they are. We can go get them, you know what I'm saying? But we can also change it. But we want to be able to make those decisions as a group. We've been working with Primetime Energy. They do outstanding work. So let's give a hand for Jim Stroline from Primetime Energy, and he'll talk to you about their program they have to offer.
Okay, so as Sam was explaining, we've been working with the CAO now for probably about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. Basically, we're a contractor that works with the programs, with the NYSERDA programs. So that SBC charge that Sam started to explain, you've been paying it all these years into a pool. That pool is regulated by NYSERDA. NYSERDA is New York State's Department of Energy Research and Development. They have 2 programs that everybody is eligible for, one or the other, possibly both. So we're going to go through both of those programs for you. Income guidelines, it doesn't matter if you make $300,000–$400,000 a year, you're still going to be eligible for something through these programs. So just a little bit of history about our company. We participate with both, like I explained. That's one of the huge advantages to our company. A lot of contractors only deal with one of their programs or the other. When NYSERDA holds this type of funding, we can combine both of these programs if you're eligible for both of them. So that's one of the biggest advantages with us. We're also a member of the Better Business Bureau. We're an accredited Gold Star contractor with BPI, which takes at least 5 to 7 years of being part of these programs to achieve. We've got 14 certifications in multiple skill set, including insulation, HVAC, heating and cooling. Basically any type of work through these programs we handle in-house for you. So we're not subbing work out to other contractors or anything of the sort. I myself have done energy audits on about 4,000, maybe even 5,000 homes in the area, and I've also overseen about 1,200 projects in the city of Buffalo. So either program we use, the process is really going to start with an audit on the house. We've got to find out what's going on with the house before we know how to fix it. A lot of our homeowners call us specific for a furnace or windows or whatever they think they need. When we actually get to the home and start testing the house, we'll be able to tell you exactly what your best route is going to be. What's going to save you the most money for the least amount of investment out of pocket. So we really look at the house as a system. We want to basically seal the house up to keep the heat inside at first. So it's made up of an air barrier, a thermal boundary, a heating system, and a hot water system. So looking at the house as a system, as you were saying before, oldest housing stock in Buffalo. Back in 1890, 1910, obviously they didn't really have energy efficient homes back then. They didn't insulate them. They just basically built a shell, put a big furnace in the basement and let it run. Back then, heat was cheap, or gas, coal, whatever they were running on it was next to nothing to run. Nowadays, what we know obviously with the cost of fuel, we want to tighten up that building as much as possible and put a properly sized heating system in there. So really the components of the system need to work together. You know, if the house is completely tightened up, a lot of times we can drop the size of that furnace, ultimately saving you fuel on the home. Really the goal between all of these programs is mainly to drop the fuel and electric usage, so hopefully you can take some of that money that you're spending every month and spend it elsewhere on the home. You know, a lot of people need siding, they need roofing, they need whatever. This will enable you, hopefully, to drop your budget to the point where you have money to spend on those other items. So this is a house that we saw previously, probably about 1 year ago or so. Icicles on the side of the building here. They don't look too bad, but a lot of the area maybe had 2-foot icicles or so. This is a homeowner that paid good, hard-earned money to insulate this house. So when we got there and we looked in the attic, you can see they had another contractor come through and they put a little bit of fiberglass down. But you see the section right here, this big hole, we found 5 of those. So all that insulation that they paid for was completely useless because the contractor left 5 giant open holes in the attic, which really all it's doing is allowing that heat that the guy was paying for to rush right up to the attic, which is vented to the outside. So he might as well have just left the windows open in the house. You know, so really the quality of work is key here. We want to make sure that the job is properly done for you so ultimately it actually does save you money and do what it's supposed to do. So in that attic, what we ended up doing is basically we went through and we air sealed all these holes and then blew cellulose over the top of it. Cellulose, it's a 100% green-friendly product, no known allergies to it. It's treated with borates, so it's a fire retardant, rodent retardant. It's also going to give you a higher R value than any other type of insulation for the least amount of money. That, most of the time, we're bringing these attics up to an R60 or possibly even an R80 value. And just to give you a rough idea, a new build Energy Star home is only an R35 or 39. So to give you an idea of the quality of the work, obviously we're overdoing a lot of them. We also use cellulose in dense packing of walls, so we can insulate the walls in the house just as easily. All we're going to do is pull a piece of siding and dense pack it in there like it was a brick. So again, back in the day when they built these homes, they didn't put anything in there, or a lot of times we find horsehair or newspaper or whatever they had laying around on the job site that they threw in there and then threw the plaster and lath up. So nowadays, obviously whatever's in there just gets compressed down and refilled with a cellulose product. Spray foam insulation we use quite a bit. Spray foam insulation is a great product, especially in a basement where there could be a moisture issue. So down in a basement, the rim joist is being the main focus. Up above your block, there's a little piece of wood that runs all the way around the perimeter of the building. That piece of wood, all it is just a 2x4, or a 2x10 rather. So it's really 1.5 inches thick. Once we spray in 2 inches of closed cell spray foam, it's going to air seal that area and keep the air from flowing into the basement itself. So the quality of work we're huge on, obviously. We see a lot of sloppy work out there from other contractors that we're out there to fix. We see a lot of sloppy work happening currently. We don't really go out trying to bash anybody else's work, but really this is the main thing. I mean, if you have somebody coming out to do the job, you definitely want the job done right. So looking at this is a house we saw a couple of months ago. You can see this is a thermal imaging camera. So what we do is we go through and we scan the walls in the house, find out what's inside there. And you can see the insulation inside this wall cavity comes up to here. This is another homeowner that paid good hard-earned money to have somebody come out and insulate that wall for them. And you can see they only insulated it halfway. So there's no way to tell that because there's plaster and lath on the wall. There's drywall up there. So when we shoot the walls with the camera, obviously we can see through it and make sure that the job's done correctly for you. Another issue we see a lot is something we call Swiss cheese houses. This guy drilled right through the siding. So instead of taking the siding off and drilling behind the siding, he drilled right through it. We see this once in a while too. There's a lot of homes in Buffalo that I go to that have been insulated in the past, and they've got those plugs in the wall that have been painted. Really all the guy had to do was pull the siding off first, then drill the hole, then put the siding back on. So that's one big thing that we're huge on. We don't want to make the house look like that. It's just a picture of one of the guys up on the wall. So really, all we're really taking off is just one run of siding. It's not as if we have to strip the whole house or anything. Just take one run off, and it's done correctly for you. When it's all done, all they're going to do is put a plug in the hole, put the siding back on. You'd never even know we were there. Above it? Yep. Well, they're going down and up. The machine's got pressure to it. So it's actually, they turn the settings up when they're doing walls. They're going to blow it down first till it's up to the hole. Then they blow it upward and actually pull the hose back as it's filling, and it gets crammed in there 100% for you.
So it doesn't shrink?
Nope, it's not going to settle if it's done correctly. When you saw that picture before, that's exactly what happened. Somebody didn't do it correctly, and it possibly settled, or maybe they didn't even fill it upward. A lot of times we don't see that bad. Usually we'll see maybe a gap at the top of a foot or so, but that one there we had a 3-foot gap at the top that we saw. So obviously we went back and redid it for whoever did it before. So once the insulation and the air sealing is done in the house, then obviously we're going to match a heating system to the home. So heating systems, obviously, there's big differences in heating systems out there, especially when we look at homes that were done 20, 40, 100 years ago from what we've got today. This is a house that we did recently. This is an old, inefficient boiler. Real good guy, real good customer of ours. He was probably spending about somewhere in the ballpark of about $300 a month just in fuel to run this thing. This is wrapped with asbestos fully all the way around it, and a lot of other contractors told him there was nothing that could be done. So what we did is basically tapped in somewhere else down the line, put a high efficient boiler in, wrapped that one completely, so now the asbestos hazard is gone, and pushed it off to the side basically. So that was actually built before the house a lot of times too. So a lot of these can't come out of the basement. They pretty much built a foundation, built a basement, dropped these things down there and built a house over the top of it. So again, a lot of contractors went out and told them there's no way they can't touch it. In this case, just a matter of doing the job a little bit differently. This is something, in his case, he probably saw savings anywhere between 30, 40, 50%. Normally, just swapping out a 20-year-old boiler just in itself is going to save you anywhere between 10 and 20% just in itself to a high efficient boiler. And that's an example of what we put in. So that's a peerless boiler, which runs at 95%. His old one obviously was probably running at 72%, so obviously there's a huge difference there. This little boiler mate in the back, you can see this also runs his hot water system in the house. So the hot water system runs off of the boiler itself. This is an example of a high efficient furnace, AC unit, and a tankless hot water system. A lot of homes in the area have furnaces in there. A lot of them have the old octopus style furnaces, kind of like that boiler that we just saw. A lot of times it's just a matter of putting it in a little differently to make it work. So the two programs that we're going to talk about, Empower New York and Assisted Home Performance. The pamphlet that you have in your hand there is going to review all the guidelines for both of these. Really, we always try to start with Empower New York if you're eligible for it. So Empower New York has a little bit lower of an income guideline, but if you do qualify for it, there's more money they're going to put toward the project for you. You can use both of these programs together. So if you qualify for both, we can do a combined project for both of these programs for you. And again, that's one of the big advantages with us is we have the ability of putting them both, the house through both programs at once for you. Combined totals of a combined, or a total of a combined project, a lot of times these approvals with this grant money is coming back upwards of $8,000, $10,000, $12,000. So if we do a combined project with both programs for you, I mean, really, there's a lot of money out there that you're eligible for with it. Combining both programs allows the homeowner to complete the project in full. So Empower New York, the first program that we're going to go through, they may only approve certain measures, but if we do a combined project, you can pretty much complete anything that's eligible through this program that you want to do. So Empower New York, this is going to be your first set of guidelines. It's based on the HEAP guidelines. So if you're eligible for HEAP, you should be eligible for this program here. It's based on the income of the household. So it doesn't matter if you're a tenant, landlord, an owner. It doesn't matter if you rent or you own the house. It's going to be based on whoever's living in the home. So if it's a tenant situation, an up or lower, we're going to qualify that as two separate buildings, even though it's the same house. In that case, they may double up funding for you on that home too. So HEAP guidelines, 60% of the state median income. It's a free energy improvement program. So whatever they approve through this program is 100% free. The homeowner doesn't pay a single dollar. They're going to decide what they want to do to the home. So once we go through and we do the initial audit on the house and we refer all this work back to them and tell them what type of a situation we have, they're going to review that file and decide what they want to do to the home for you. So again, if you say I need a furnace, this program may look more toward the insulation. But the other program, we can settle that through them also. Two-family home qualifies as a 2-unit building, and it's a one-time use program also. So if you've used it in the past, you may not be able to use it again. So a normal approval through Empower New York, usually we see them approve health and safety items. CFL light bulbs, they're huge on. They're always going to look at doing that for you. A CO and a smoke detector, faucet aerators, a refrigerator or a freezer replacement is always a possibility. So if we find a bad refrigerator or a bad freezer that's using too much electric, they may look at updating that for you to a high efficient. Insulation measures and air sealing is really the main focus through this program. Obviously, they're trying to reduce that fuel and electric usage for you, so that's usually the easiest way to do it. Heating systems and hot water tanks. And that's really about it of what they would normally approve through this program. So again, if you need a window, if you need certain items, we may look at the next program for that. This program here, again, based on the HEAP guidelines, so a family of 4 can be earning less than $49,000 a year, and you still qualify for it. So again, it is a 60% of the median income, but a lot of people do qualify for this. And if you're single in the house, $25,600 would be the limit. So we're always going to start with that program there. If you don't qualify for that one, or you've used it in the past, that's when we normally move on to the next program for you. Anybody have any questions on that one? Yes, so if you have an upper-lower, let's say, if it's an upper-lower and you live in the building or don't live in the building, it's going to be based on who's ever living in each apartment. So if you have, let's say you live in the lower, somebody lives in the upper, we're going to fill out 2 separate applications, 2 completely separate files. We're going to send them in together at the same time, and they're going to hopefully double up funding for that house for you. So a lot of times in that case, we may not see a $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 approval. Sometimes those are upwards of $8,000, $10,000 approved.
Can you do it from multiple houses?
From what?
Multiple houses?
Yes. Yep. This is specific to the address. So if you have, let's say you own 10 houses, you can do it on each and every one of those houses, as long as they're occupied for roughly about a year. So if you have a tenant that's been in there for 9, 10, 11 months, we should be okay to apply for this program for you. Yes?
If you just apply, even if you don't, they'll figure it out if you qualify or not.
Yep. If you think you're eligible for it, we can always send in the paperwork for you. Really, they're going to be looking for a gas, electric bill, and some sort of a proof of eligibility income-wise. So whether you receive like a HEAP or something along that lines, that's the easiest way to make it go through. If you don't receive anything like that, but you think you qualify for it, we can always just prove income. So they'd be asking for like proof of income, pay stubs, anything that you're receiving, and just the paperwork. And we handle that all in-house for you. So our office handles that approval process. We pretty much try to start a file with everybody today and explain to you which one we're going to pursue and let you know what else is needed, and then we meet back. Yes?
You said the program is only once. Is that like my address or my person?
Once per address or per unit. So if you have an upper-lower, and let's say the lower was serviced by this in the past, but the upper was not, we could always go back for the upper.
Or say if you have a tenant, and say the tenant moves out, he moves into another apartment,
The tenant,
could still qualify for that.
yes, yep. The person doesn't matter so much with this, it's more the location. So if you've got a location that hasn't been serviced through this program in the past, the tenant could have had the work done at a different address and they'll still allow it to go through. Yep.
Suppose if you had it done before and, it's still cold.
Okay.
I mean, like the insulation really didn't work.
Yep, so if you had it done in the past and your house is still cold, we're going to move on to the next program. So they only have so much money through this program, and a lot of homes in the city of Buffalo need more money than they have, so they may have only been able to go so far with it. And in that case, the secondary program, this Home Performance with Energy Star that we're going to get into next, that one there, we can utilize their grant money, their loan options, stuff of that sort to help you finish it up. Yep. Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there that they say they need a furnace, but in this program, they may or may not do it. And in that case, we can refer it to the next program. Okay, so the next program is going to be Assisted Home Performance with Energy Star. So this program, income matters somewhat, but everybody is eligible for something through this program. It's an income-based program. Subsidies are going to range anywhere between 10 and 50%. So if you qualify for a subsidy through this program, they'll cover half of the eligible improvements for you. If you don't qualify for the income level, they'll cover anywhere between 10 and 30. Their subsidies are going to max out anywhere between $3,000 and $10,000. They also offer you a low interest rate of 3.5% for up to 15 years. So what that enables us to do is use the grant money, finance the rest of the portion. They allow it to be on your electric bill. So if you saw that SBC charge on there and you take a loan through this, that would be an added charge at the bottom, just like the SBC charge. So it makes it real convenient to pay that bill. So you really don't have two bills anymore, you're just making your electric payment. Which through these programs, obviously the idea behind these programs is to reduce the fuel and electric usage. So a lot of times, well really not a lot of times, all the time, we're going to see that usage come down low enough to the point where it's really going to come pretty close, if not over compensating that payment for you. The homeowner is always going to decide what they want to do. So through this program, you can tailor a project to what you want. So if you say, I need a furnace, we can come through and we can just do a furnace. Or if you say we want to do everything and insulate the whole house and put a furnace in and 4 windows and a door, that can be done. It's just a matter of how far we can do it and what eligible improvements are going to qualify for the grant money. So they're going to dictate what's a subsidy grant eligible and what's a loan-only measure. So looking at, let's say, like air conditioning qualifies through this program. They're just not going to put money toward it, but they'll allow you to finance it. So there's certain measures that they'll allow you to finance and others that they'll actually put money toward for you with the grant. Yes. Yep, if you currently have AC or if you don't have AC currently, we could always install it or update it for you. They're not going to put money toward it, but they will loan you the money on it. There's always going to be a homeowner contribution through this program. So again, it is free somewhat, but you're always going to have to pay another portion of it. So the grants that are out there through this are going to range from that 10 to 50%. Yep.
Is the loan based on your FICO score, your credit history?
It is, yep. Rough idea on the FICO score is roughly about a 680 before they look at it. We have Ray from Citizens Bank where he has a couple programs he's going to get into that are a little lower based for you also. So if you don't qualify for this loan through here, Ray has a couple options for you also on that. So possible improvements through this one: furnace or boiler, air conditioning, hot water tanks, tankless hot water systems, insulation, air sealing, windows and doors. And that's really about it. They don't really get into driveway repair, basement waterproofing, roofing, that's all completely separate. Again, the idea behind these programs is to reduce that fuel and electric usage on the home, so they keep it straight to that list there. So if you're a family of 4 through this program and you're earning less than $65,000 a year, you're qualified for a subsidy grant where they're going to cover half of any eligible improvement for you. So if you want to insulate the house or if you need a furnace, they're going to cover half of that job for you. That's a grant that you don't pay back. So it's not as if you pay it back 5 years down the road or when you sell the house or anything. That's free money that you've paid into on your SBC charges. If we look at a basic example through this program only and not looking at the 2 programs combined, but just assisted home performance, if we were to go through and insulate an attic, walls, basement rim joist, put a new high-efficient furnace in, and air seal the full house, to give you a rough ballpark on that project, we're looking roughly $9,500, let's say. And you qualify for a subsidy grant, they're going to cover $4,750, which leaves $4,750 your way. They'll loan you that money on your electric bill at 3.5% for 15 years, and your payment ends up being $33 a month. Who said $600? Who's paying $600 in gas? Over here? $600 is crazy. To give you an idea, that money there, that $33 a month, obviously it's going to save you some money. If we use a normal savings on a job like that, National Grid should save you somewhere between 10 and 20% on the electric bill. National Fuel bill is really where we're going to see the big savings. On a job like that, normally we see anywhere between 20, 30. I've got homeowners out there that are saving 60%. But to figure everything real conservatively, 20, 30% is definitely doable. So if we look at a normal National Grid bill of $100 a month, and we save 15%, you're going to save $15 there. National Fuel, let's say you're only paying $225 currently, and you only save 25%. There's $56 in savings just in the National Fuel bill. So we got a total savings of $71 a month just by doing the project, and you're paying $33. So we created a positive cash flow situation of $38 in the house. What can we do with $38? Yeah, I mean, we can do siding, we can do driveway, whatever we actually want. You know, because obviously this stuff isn't fun to look at. You can't call your friends over and have them show them your new furnace and your insulation. You know, but at least this way, you're saving money in the long run. You're saving money right up front. Makes the house more saleable when you do go to sell it. That on-bill financing, if you choose that option, this $33 a month payment, if you choose on-bill financing and you sell the house 5 years down the road, it follows the house. So you sell the house, and if you want to carry that payment to the next homeowner, they take over the payment. So a couple options on that. The other option will be an unsecured loan where there's no lien on the property, in which case it would follow yourself. You know, the loan would follow yourself instead of the home. But either way, there's a couple options on that too for you. 3.5%. Yep. Both the same rate. Yep, 3.5% if you have it directly withdrawn from a bank account. If you want to make the extra payment, like have a payment book, goes to 3.9. So not much of a difference.
Why would I want to have an unsecured loan when I can just have the loan attached to the electric bill and whoever pays that bill?
Nobody ever does. Everybody wants it on the bill usually. Yeah, if they approve it on bill, that's definitely the best way to do it. But again, you know, some people want it as an unsecured loan and they don't want the lien on the property, so it's completely personal preference on that. Anybody have any questions? Not a one? Yeah, right. How do we get started, right? So normally today we stay a little after just to start a file for you if you do want to pursue one of these two programs for you, and we can tell you exactly where we should start, what's missing. We always meet down here on Tuesday mornings, so if there's anything missing, Lisa over in the back here, she'll meet you down here Tuesday mornings to pick it up, or you can always drop it off. Yes?
My question is, how long is the wait list?
Actually, it's pretty quick. The initial approval to get us to the house to do the audit and find out what's going on is usually only about 4 weeks. From there, once we actually do the audit and send the paperwork in, you're looking at another 4 to 6 weeks. So total processing time, usually 2.5 months at the most. Yeah, it's not like a weatherization program through the city where it's 3 years backup or anything like that. It's pretty quick. Yep.
I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because you guys have been here for a while. Okay, I always start this off with saying this is our city. Sam has just been so awesome with just describing everything that's going on within the city, so I always try to just go a little bit more into it. And I just go straight to the point. This is a CRA program. CRA stands for Community Reinvestment Act. It's a home improvement loan. It is a fixed rate, unsecured home improvement loan that offers low to moderate income homeowners reduced rates on funds that they can use for home improvements. The good thing about pretty much living in Buffalo and the surrounding counties is that that's one aspect that you just need to be able to at least get that portion approved for this loan. So that's a good thing. And then I always go straight into the houses. This is a house. Anybody know what those houses on Humboldt Avenue look like? How they're like all humongous homes. They're always 3 stories and they're big roofs, things like that. The only scary thing about those homes specifically is that those homes are very, very difficult to keep up, especially if you're a single homeowner. You're not married, things like that. Or if you have any children and you're a single homeowner. This particular person was a single homeowner. She was awesome. I loved working with her. And she was just so, I'll just go a little bit more further into it soon. On this particular house on Humboldt, can you guys possibly see right along here? What do you guys see? Yeah. Yeah, it's basically dilapidated and it's rotting. Okay, anytime you see any wood like that, when you see it's dark, that basically means it's pretty much time to go, to be honest with you. Normally it builds up a mold buildup or things of that nature, and it starts breaking apart. A lot of times it's when moisture is getting to it. And the one thing I always say, to be honest with you, when I see this type of picture, is that anytime you see a ladder on your house, it doesn't give you like a sense of relief, like you know your house is about to get worked on. You know what I mean? That's for me. I'm just telling you, to be honest with you. So what can you guys see on this particular area now? If you can see my little red dot. That too. No, but what I'm trying to show you, I don't know if you can see the real red dot. You see the plants too, right? On here, you can actually see where the brand new wood is starting to get put up on. You can see where all the light wood is starting to get built up on there, and you can see that they're getting fixed. Just like I said a second ago, one great thing about this is because you saw the ladders that are on there, but there's nothing better than seeing somebody actually on the ladder. Okay? So it's always a great feeling to see in the ladders, but seeing somebody that's on the ladders rebuilding something is even better. Okay, that's a little closer look for there. So you can see where all the brand new wood is getting put on there. This is just some of the ones that's on that home. Okay, going back into the product, at least half of the loan proceeds must be used for home improvements. Up to 1/2 of the loan proceeds may be used for debt consolidation. So that's also including your credit card debt, mortgage. Say for instance, you got the tail end of your mortgage, you want to consolidate that, car notes, things of that nature. I just got finished doing someone's car note. They were at the tail end of their car note. Their car note was about $500 a month to pay. They had about $4,000 left on it. Instead of them just keep on trying to pay that and then try to pay this at the same time, they just consolidated that car note and saved on those funds. And now they're actually focusing a little bit more of those funds towards this. And then also, if you think about it with the credit card debt, a lot of times what you see is the lowest credit card that I've ever seen, to be honest with you, is like 12.99%. And that's after you get past that 0%. That 0% always sounds so good, but most people don't realize that once that goes after that 1 year, if you do have a balance on there, you get all that interest automatically added into there. Okay, the lowest, and like I always said before, the lowest I've ever seen is 12.99, but I've seen as high as 24.99, 25.99, 29.99. And a lot of times if you are in thousands with that, that can actually, you're paying more on the interest than you're doing on the principal, and you only have like $2 or $3 going on the principal, to be honest with you. That's what a lot of customers tend to do. They usually use whatever they need to have fixed for their roof or something of that nature, and then they also put the remainder on here. So if everybody can just do me a favor, and don't be shy, if I start naming certain things that you may need with your house, can you please just raise your hand for me? Who needs to replace their roof, water heater, furnace, storm windows, storm doors, insulation, foundation, siding? I saw the cameraman back there. He's like, some people want to put if any of those things, you can actually use this particular product for that, okay? But it's also with debt consolidation as well. Okay. Yeah, so what happens is, say for instance, if I do the application, and then I see all your debt that's on there. I say, and what's your name? Bernice, okay. I say, hey Bernice, I'm looking at it, your credit score looks good, your debt to income looks good. I see a couple different things that you have on your credit that you want to, do you want to possibly pay it off? You'd be like, well, that credit card is 19.99%, it does get on my nerves, let me knock that off. And you just let me know the things that you want to try to pay off in the meantime. And as long as it's under the amount that you want to get as far as your estimate for the work to get done, you can use the difference for that. So say for instance, if you're yes, it's debt to income. So sometimes what happens is some people, want to use a little bit more, but a lot of times what I do is I try to convince them to use some of that debt to income if their debt to income is a little bit too high for the program. I have them consolidate some of those things down to bring it down so they can actually be able to be approved for the product.
So what would not qualify you if you had how much debt?
Okay, you gotta move kind of fast there. I didn't get to my slideshow. I see what kind of crew we got going here. That's like slide number 15 or something. No, you're fine. I definitely understand, but I'll get into that point too. Okay. What'd you say? See, I told you over here. Y'all passing notes and stuff over here. Okay, for this house, this is the exact same house, guys. You know how a lot of times you see a lot of homes with shingles on them, okay? This particular house had slate on it. And if anybody who knows what slate is, it's like a version of a rock. It's like a rock type of topping on there, and it's extremely old, like a stone almost. And that's with them actually taking the slate off. Most people that don't know what slate is, like I just said, it's a rock. But the thing is that if you look right in the middle, there's a gentleman right there with a shovel actually had to shovel all the slate rock off of there. That's how heavy it is. It's not like how you can get shingles off, you can kind of like pull them off, or you know what I mean? This is a completely different ball game, and it took them a lot longer to actually take care of this. Going right back into the product, the CRA varies. The CRA varies between 3 to 6% fixed rate. The amount ranges between $1,000 to $20,000 and can be paid for up to 84 months, which is actually 7 years. So the great thing about this particular thing is that, I mean, it's fixed. So it's not a variable. A lot of times you get into a 3% or a 6% depending on what you're going for. And it's a variable. Like you'd be like, okay, I'm at 3% or I am 6%. And it's a variable. It can fluctuate at any point. So it can go from 6%, and then depending on the market, it go to 12%. Who knows where it goes, okay? This particular product is at a fixed rate, and it's for 7 years. Okay, this is the exact same house, guys. So if you remember when you saw the guy taking a slate from off of the roof, this is actually them replacing it with shingles. And it was just a pleasure working with her. First of all, she's so warm and fuzzy. She's an awesome person that I work with. And she's actually a single older woman. And she really couldn't afford too much. She didn't know if she was going to get approved for it. She didn't know what her credit score was at the time. And then what we did was we processed everything, come to find out, she was like, what did she say? She didn't know what her credit score was, so we got her conditionally approved. She needed to bring me some things for proof of income, pay stubs, things of that nature. She didn't know if she was going to get approved or not. And we were like, okay, we're just going to give them as many of these things as soon as possible so we can get it out of the way. So they do try to catch something, it'll be too late. You know what I mean? But the good thing about that, it wasn't the case, but we got her through, and she was able to use the difference for this. So I don't know if you guys see this. Is this actually that same area where I showed you where the dilapidated wood is at? Yes. And if you guys are looking at these pictures, I always say it all the time. These pictures, I know you can see some of these angles, like that one right there. These are all me. So if they look professional, I'm just throwing it out there. I just waited till you guys said wow a couple times. Like, man, that looked good. Yeah, that was me. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. There we go. All right. Okay. I always say this all the time. This is actually the slate that was on our house, the stone, the rock type material. And I always say this all the time. You can, say if you're going to say it or not. If you guys look at her nails, you guys would tell me if her nails was bad, wouldn't you? You probably wouldn't even see the rock. If her nails was bad, you'd have noticed immediately, right? See? She didn't even know I was coming that day. So the crazy thing is, like, you could see her nails and they look so nice and shiny. I was like, how did you know? Because, like, if they were, like, y'all would have looked at that first. Or she was, like, ashy or something. Okay, I'm just saying. Y'all would have said, so y'all wouldn't even notice the stone, for real. I'm just real, Huh? No. I would not recommend that. Yeah, it's too heavy. Yeah. If it's the Humboldt Avenue roof, but she get it right on the dot. About 20,000. That roof was abnormally large.
Is that the house that's at the corner of Utica, the second house from Utica?
It's like the third house from there. Yep.
So being that that's one of the wrong size, how much would that size?
It all depends on the roofer. I mean, it depends on the roofer and the quality of the work, the life of the shingles, things of that nature. That's not my field. What we usually try to recommend different contractors that we know of that actually will give you a great, be able to work with you. But a lot of times they tend to say, you want 20-year shingles, you want 30-year shingles, and they kind of break it down. Do you want certain things replaced if you don't? You know what I mean? So a lot of times they want you to do a whole complete tear off and not patching, because all it does is just kind of like gradually get worse down the road. Okay, so this is actually the same house. Okay, so as I go a little bit further in there, no collateral means no lien. Minimum credit score of at least 620, no closing costs, no early closing costs. You about to ask me another question, aren't you?
So your credit score is at 620?
A minimum 620.
Where does the closing costs go?
There are no closing costs.
And what is no early closing costs?
Okay, it's like say for instance, if you have a home equity line of credit. Okay, some banks, depending on how long you had a home equity line of credit, if you try to pay that home equity line of credit within the first 2 to 3 years, a lot of times they charge you a $200 or $300 fee to do that. This does not. So say for instance, you know, God willing, you came into a large lump sum of money based off the lottery. Let's just say that. And you got the home equity line of credit a year beforehand. You say, okay, I owe $15,000. I just want to get it out of the way. You put that lump sum to pay that off and get rid of it. They'll charge you extra $200 or $300 depending on the bank. That's what that means. Yeah, we have a program that we have. I can give you the flyer. I just got them from Ms. Robin a second ago. It's a Claro program that we have, and it's like a credit improvement, like to help you go through the process of getting that done. And plus what it is we do the median. So we do TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian all together, and they give you the average. So say for instance, if your TransUnion is 720, Equifax, you know, is 5 something, you know, they usually average it out. That's what we do. Okay, this house is actually located on Grider. I mean, it's nothing like seeing a house, to be honest with you. I can give you guys a breakdown of this whole thing, but it's nothing like seeing what you can do with it. So as you can see, it's basically, you know, the paint starting to come off, things like that. They have the nice awning. This is actually as the house is replaced. So you see it beforehand, okay, and then you see it after as the siding got put back on there. So they're actually replacing that awning, and then they're actually not going to put that awning back on there. But you can actually see how different the house looks just with the siding itself. You don't have to get it painted every 5 years or 6 years, 7 years. And they also had gotten energy efficiency windows. That same house that was white and red. That's the inside of the windows. That one, I believe she said it was about $12,000. Yeah, but it was a complete and utter difference. Okay, I always put this on here. You get what you pay for. I mean, the reason why I say you get what you pay for, because a lot of times this is one of those points when you have someone who's a friend of a friend of a friend, that's a neighbor, that's your best friend's cousin, that you can never get their phone number when you need it, but when it comes to the time to get the money, then they're available, and they do half of the job, but you're always trying to find them. This is kind of like one of those situations, to be honest with you. I ended up working with this young lady right here. She lives on Wecker. This is the house. I'm going to go right to the picture so you can see a little bit better. Okay, that was the roof. We got that repaired too. I'm going to go right to this is Sam's favorite picture. It's coming up. Right here. Okay, so tell me guys, what happens if you have a gutter like that? Yep, that's big. If you get one leaf that goes inside that gutter, what happened? Yeah. So that's what ended up happening. This woman is awesome. It's just unfortunate because she's an older woman, and she basically lives by herself. And the job she ended up having, she thought she was getting a deal. I think they said they're going to charge about $600. And she didn't know what was right or wrong. This is how they ended up doing it. Okay? So, yeah, and then what ended up happening was, yeah. She didn't know it was wrong. She did not know it was wrong. And then, you know, that's how it was prior to everything. It's kind of like an accordion, to be honest with you. Yeah. Yeah, or some stairs. Unfortunately, I mean, we laugh at it, but it was just unfortunate to see her in that position. But this right here, this is actually a different portion of that house. But if you look right above here, what do you guys see? Do you see where the patch is located? Right where it would start getting, you know, built up of water and snow and ice and things of that nature. But if you look right underneath it, what happened right here? It's sagging because there's so much weight in that one area. Okay, so that's what ended up happening. And it ended up holding all the weight, particularly right here, because it ended up having leaks built in right here and then had to get a patch directly over here. So that's that. This is a different area, but you can see what can happen when you have it built like that. They just completely just did her wrong, to be honest with you with that. She ended up replacing the roof, the whole roof, and she ended up replacing that whole area right there. I always just put these pictures in here anytime we're showing this because a lot of times this looks like our stairs, our concrete is breaking, our foundation is breaking. But if you look at this right here, this is a co-collaboration between myself and Jim over there. A gentleman this was his water heater, or his boiler, right, Jim? Yeah, that was his boiler. Yeah, so when I look at this boiler, I kind of remember, what is it called? Hansel and Gretel. It kind of reminds me of something scary like that, because when we went down in the basement, it was kind of scary, to be honest with you. Yeah, it was kind of creepy, to be honest with you. Yeah, right. So what ended up happening was, this is one of those boilers that it's so large, they couldn't take it from out of the basement. It actually was built there before the house was built there. So it was actually dropped in the middle of there, and then actually built the house around it. So after Jim basically got him a whole new, brand new energy efficiency boiler, he had to wrap this one up. Couldn't take it from out of the house because it was built like that, and actually had to shimmy it over to the side. So it had to stay inside the house. So the reason why that was so vital for us is because this gentleman, he was a retired gentleman, great guy. This was on Goulding. Yep, on Goulding Avenue. And the thing about that was that he literally could not warm up his whole first floor. So he ended up having to put space heaters everywhere throughout his house. He couldn't go upstairs because it was too cold. So this actually Jim ended up getting some things into his house in regards to the boiler and things like that. So now he can heat up his whole house basically. And it's crazy. I just saw him a couple days ago, and he's just so appreciative. He's so happy and just it's great. It's cool. It's so awesome because you never see it ain't nothing like seeing a person that ain't smiling at you. You know what I mean? Or they calling you saying, you know what I mean? So it's nothing like it. He got heat. So that's what it looked like. It was actually kind of it was about this tall. It was kind of creepy. Okay. The reason why this is the end of it, guys. This is all the pictures that I have. I always try to update periodically. I always say it takes a village to raise an avenue, to be honest with you. The reason why I say that is because don't it always seem like when you're working on your house, then your neighbors always see what they can possibly do next? They always, then they ask you how you got it done and things of that nature, and then word of mouth goes from there. That's what we're trying to do. In the particular neighborhoods that, Sam was talking about, how you got all the neighborhoods Fruit Belt and things of that nature, how they're just growing. If you're living in those neighborhoods that are growing, you're going to be left behind. And that's pretty much for this. I always say don't keep your head in the dirt. You know what I mean? And what's happening a lot of times in those particular neighborhoods, people are starting to get their house either bought out because they think they've been trying to get out of there for years. So they're selling their house that they already paid for $5,000 or $10,000, not realizing that next year that same house is going to be worth $80,000 to $100,000, and they lose out. And what's happening is, Sam always says, what is coming here, guys? Say Yes program is here. So everybody that's outside is coming inside to get that program, paying $10,000, selling a $200,000 house, buying a house in the city for $10,000, and they got $190,000 worth of equity to be able to work on a house with. You know what I mean? And then now we're moving out to Williamsville and a lot of other neighborhoods, even though those are great areas. Where's all the growth going right now? It's coming up downtown. It's going in, Central Park. It's going all over the place. But we're going to move out. You know what I mean? So what we should be doing is moving in and making sure that our stuff is together. So this is the whole point of us actually having this presentation, so we can just make it vocal, seeing that we actually have people that have similar houses to ours, that they are working on these things, and there are some options. And if you're willing to work on it, we're here to help you as best as I possibly can. So I'm going to give you guys back to Sam, and you can meet me afterwards, too, if you need to.
As part of our home improvement research program, some of you will need the additional work on your house, roof, edge, foundation, things that are not covered in the mobilization program. So we partnered with RP Oakhill. I'm Art Springs tonight because he's not here. What Art will do is, once you've met with Rashad from Citizens Bank and you've decided that you want to take your loan out, is Art will come out and give you a cost estimate on the work that needs to be done. We would then provide that to Ray at the bank, and that's pretty much the process. So Ray will contact me, I'll contact Art. You can use any contractor you want, but we're trying to make it a little bit easier by having a contractor available to you. So then, that's pretty much how it works. Any questions?
I think guarantee your contracted work to be captured this out, or send it out for music. But you guys bring in so many people using one contractor. Well, you think it'd be beneficial if you gave us a federal, rate or a little cheaper.
What we're saying is that, well, our code generally, puts you in contact with more than one contractor. Everybody doesn't want to use the same house, they want different, cost estimates, because you want to get the best price for your money. So that's not an issue either. There's other contractors, we have a list here that we use too, that we provide you as well. We can call any contractor that you like.
That I understand what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be beneficial if you guys, we were just looking for someone, a contractor? And I hate to say that, I see one in the house for like 3 months. Furnace guy told me what I need, put the furnace in. I know nothing about furnaces. He never put it in cold everything. So here we're hot, here we're freezing. So I call another guy, right? He charges like $4,000, call another guy. He put it in cold every turn about that big. We got 1,800 square feet. Still the same problem. And so, what I'm saying is, if you're giving certain contractors, you got to do contractors, business, can we work on passing that savings on to us?
Right, so this is what we've done. So in general, what we try to do is work with block codes. So if we can go into a neighborhood and a contractor can work in all one neighborhood, that reduces their costs. So if you go in and you got 5 people in the house getting work done, all 5 house guys getting work done all at the same time, he can come to the stage and reduce his costs, then he can reduce your costs. But if you're working as an individual, the cost of the cost, right? And so there are situations, that's the reason why we're trying to get together as a group. So we can talk with you one-on-one afterwards. So if you work with a block club or you're working with a number of your neighbors and you're all at the same time, that's what we can deliver cost savings.
But in terms of the issue that you have with your furnace now, our Oakville is a big company here in Buffalo. The reputation is great. We couldn't work with anyone that was going to be in a situation where you're not going to get that service. So that's one of the reasons we find it out.
And if you need a furnace done right, you got our card.
Yeah.
If you need a furnace done right, you got our card.
Yeah, they do that too. Any questions? Okay, we're going to collect your applications right now, and we're going to wrap up the evening. Our phone number here is 881-6543. And like we were mentioned earlier, Lisa's here in our office on Tuesday from 9 to 1. If you have any questions, you can come by, you got all the paperwork, your application. She's here, if she's not here, you can still come by. And again, my name is Robin.